You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account, from NVIDIA to VIX and everything in between. If it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back to wrap up your week with your final Hot Options Report for this week for Friday, October 24th. Hope all of you out there are having a good end to your trading week. Kind of an interesting end, a wild end. Most of the markets fully in rally ho mode with volatility in VIX getting taken to the woodshed. So let's start there, shall we? VIX cash closing 1637 today, giving up another full point. Of course, going back to a week from today, that's off from about the 25 handle. So absolutely wild stuff out there in VIX land. Did it translate into a wild day? The answer was no. Only 501,000 contracts changing hands against an ADV of 860. So kind of a light day, even though vol getting taken to the woodshed. The hot option out there going to the downside, it's the DS18 puts. 40,000 of those changing hands for about $1.51. Pretty beefy stuff out there, listeners. So like some VIX downside. We were talking about D16 puts yesterday on the show. That was the hot VIX trade yesterday. Those went up for 45 cents. And we said, do you like them or sold to you? 61% wanted to buy them. What about these DS18 puts? Is that a little bit too rich for your blood, $1.51, or do you want to buy these as well? Hit us up. Let us know as we keep on rolling out to SPY, listeners. A good end of the week in the major indices. SPY closing up about 0.8%. 677.25 is where SPY went out today, listeners. Getting up about 0.8%. Putting up 9.5 million contracts, which is right around its ADV of about 9.5 million contracts. So pretty much coming in line with expectations. The hot option out there, 733,000 of these 678 calls. Average price for these, 67 cents. You know the deal, listeners. You had a moment. SPY's high was 678.47 today, so not much of one, but you had a moment out there if you wanted to get rid of these at the apex. If you rode them into the close, not the best do as we keep on rolling out to SPX, listeners. Also a banger day out there, about 0.8% to the upside. Closing 67.91.69, listeners. So wild levels out there after most of the major indices hitting new all-time highs today. The S, similar to SPY, putting up about average numbers, 4.3 million contracts against an ADV of about 4.4 million. The hot option out there, about 180,000 of these 6,800s. We were north of that earlier today. The cash got up to 68.07. So we were north of the 6,800 level, obviously closed below it in the cash. Average price for these, $6.28. So these were kind of juicy. If you rode them into the close, might have been a bit of an ouchie as we keep on rolling out to small caps. ADV out there, 1.65 million. Today, 1.65 million. So exactly in line were the small caps, even though they were rocketing north today, up about 1.25% in IWM. And the hot option out there, 92,000 of the 251 calls expiring today. So back to 0-day action in the small caps. Average price for these, 33 cents. So once again, if you got caught maybe in a little bit of a head fake earlier today, we did get there very briefly. And if you rode these into the close, maybe not the best trade as we keep on rolling out to the Qs, listeners. The Qs closing today up 1.07%, so a good day in the NASDAQ as well. 617.10 is where the Qs went out. The ADV, 4.82 million. The Qs putting up today, 4.82 million. So two bullseyes in small caps and the NASDAQ today. We don't see that too often for one, let alone two. And the hot option out there in the queues today, 320,000 of the 617 puts. So pretty much straight at the money puts, at least where we went out. Average price for these, though, 70 cents. So you had to be a little bit deft on the trigger finger. Luckily, you had some opportunities to get rid of these at better levels. As we keep on rolling, was it a hot day out there in single name stocks? The answer was it was pretty decent. 845 on the tape. So a lot of volume changing hands out there today. That's one of the heavier days we've seen in a while. That gets us to our old pal Palantir closing 184.63, up about 415 or about 2.3%. The hot option out there in Palantir today, it's our old pals, the 185s. We've been talking about these for a little while. Average price for these, 72 cents, and we did get there earlier today. 186.17 was the high, so these were looking decent, at least for a little while, if not where we closed in Palantir. As we keep on rolling up to number 9, it's Amazon. 951,000 contracts on the tape for the Amazonians today, so a pretty dense day. 224.21, up about 312 or about 1.4%. For Amazon, the hot option out there today, 128,000 of the 225s. I'm sensing a theme here, listeners. Average price for these, about 35 cents. And once again, we did get there. 225.40 was the high, so these were within spitting distance before they weren't. So hopefully, if you bought these, you got out of them before the end of the day. And if you sold them, you had to grit your teeth a little bit, but you ended up looking okay. As we keep on rolling to number 8, was Open looking okay today? Open putting up 1.14 million contracts for the number 8 spot, closing just a tick shy of $8, $7.97, up nearly $1 or almost 14%. So a decent day for Open today. You know, it's probably the 8s that were lighting up the tape out there, listeners, and that was indeed the case out there in Open today. 141,000 of the 8s. Average price for these, 17 cents. So again, you had your moments, got up to 838 today, so you definitely had an opportunity to get these out for some profits. If you rode them into the close, again, kind of sensing a theme, not exactly a great trade. A lot of head fakes in these markets lately, which is kind of fascinating. Number 7 is the Fruit Company, 1.25 million contracts for number 7. 260, 282, up 3.25 or 1.25%, so a good day for the Fruit Company as well. The hot option out there today, once again, maybe a bit of a bridge too far. The 265s, average price for these, 11 cents. So at least they were cheap, going up 157,000 times. That was opening paper. We did get a little bit north of 264 today, so maybe you had some opportunities to get rid of these for a better level. But of course, again, sensing a theme. If you bought these and rode them into the close, not exactly a great trade, but you only lost 11 cents. As we keep on rolling to number 6, it's AMD, 1.66 million. AMD popping nearly 18 handles. 252.92 is where it went out, up about 7.6%. So a hot day for AMD as well. The hot option on a hot day, 145,000 of the 250s, the 2 halves. Average price for these, $2. You don't need to be an options whiz, listeners, or even that well-versed in options to realize if you paid $2 on average, stock went out nearly 253. These ended up looking pretty good, listeners. So there you go. A little bit of a winner chicken dinner. If you sold them, unfortunately, not a great day for you out there, listeners. As you keep on rolling to number 5, it's our old pal Intel. They had earnings after the bell yesterday. Ended up closing unched after a day that saw them ranging from below 38 to over 41. So over a $3 range out there today, which is translating into about 1.9 million contracts changing hands in Intel today. So a very hot day in Intel. The hot option on a hot day, 86,000 of the 39 calls. Average price for these, 31 cents. Now you know the drill. If you rode them into the close, they weren't great, but you had myriad opportunities intraday to get these off for a pretty nice profit if you were a little quick on the trigger finger. As we keep on rolling to number 4, our old pal, the Wolf. Now, which one is it, you might be asking? WOLF or WULF? It's the former, a.k.a. Wolf Speed, coming back on the docket today. Closing 29.57, kind of unched, which is wild out there. It had about a $1.30 range on the day out there, so a little bit more action intraday. The Wolf putting up 1.98 million contracts out there, and then once again, some wild paper. 2 half puts. Average price for these, $216. trading 606,000 times. So some wild paper out there in the wolf. Speaking of wild paper, let's go to number 3. It's our old pal Beyond Meat, putting up exactly 2 million contracts today. Beyond Meat closing 218, off another 65 cents or 23%. This one's had a range up to $7.69 this week. In fact, in the last 6 days, it's ranged from 50 cents to $7.69. So that is the literal definition of the stock being an option at that point, listeners. Absolutely wild stuff. Beyond, obviously hot today. The hot option on a hot day and beyond, 157,000 of the 2.5 puts. Average price for these, 15 cents. And once again, if you bought these and rode them to the close, you actually did all right on these. So a little bit of a flipping of the script as we keep on rolling. To number 2, it's NVIDIA, 3.03 million. So right about in line with expectations. NVIDIA closing today, 186.26, up another $4.10 or 2.25%. So absolutely wild stuff out there for NVIDIA, listeners. The hot option on a hot day in NVIDIA, 362,000 of the 185s. Again, you don't have to be that well versed in options, listeners. You can be a complete newcomer to realize average price for these 90 cents. Stock went out 186.26. These are looking pretty good as we keep on rolling to the big dog yet again. Tesla continuing to put up the numbers in the sessions post earnings. Today, nearly 4 million contracts. Again, 3.98 million contracts. So wild stuff. We've been talking 440s and 450s a lot on the show lately. Tesla closing today, 433.72. One of the few dark side movers today, off 15.25 or 3.4%. So unfortunately, no joy for the 440s or the 450s. And that unfortunately was the hot option out there today as well. 203,000 of the 440s. Average price for these, $1.53. Now, some of these went up on the bid, so maybe there was some closing sales on these bad boys, or maybe some aggressive overwriting, in which case they did all right. But wild stuff out here in Tesla. That's going to do it for your hot options report on a wild week out there in the markets. Hope you're having a good trading week. See you back here on Monday for the option block, all the way through to after the closing bell. Another edition of the Hot Options Report. Stay safe out there.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.